Hi, I'm Seamless, and today is time for a new production basics tutorial. This one's going to be a kind of an interesting one. It's about naming your stuff and what certain naming conventions mean and how they work and that kind of thing. Lately, I've been doing viewer track reviews and live mixes, and I've been accepting track submissions through the service DemoDrop. My page is demodrop.com/SeamlessR, if that wasn't predictable enough. But the reason why I mentioned this is because not just because of DemoDrop's own failure to keep names correct, but a lot of people just are not naming the tracks in ways that indicate to me what their track is called and what their artist name is. So let me give you an example of like an appropriate name for a track, right? So, like my track Fireflies is SeamlessR and typing Fireflies, right? Totally just straightforward. My artist name dash the name of the track. Totally cool. Now, what if there was a vocalist involved? There's kind of a couple ways to do this, but the way that I tend to do it, like for example, my track Sometime with Vila would be SeamlessR feat Fila, yeah, Vila Sometime. Alternatively, you could also see it as Foam Time. It's totally an attractable thing, right? That works too, although I prefer to kind of have all the artists kind of involved in the beginning. Now, this FT here, if this was unclear to you, means featured. So this is SeamlessR featuring Vila Sometime. This is SeamlessR Sometime featuring Vila. And these are both fine. Like, I just prefer to have the artist all in front, but this is all okay. Now, what if there's a collaboration? When was the last time I did a collaboration? I mostly do vocal features. Well, whatever. If I did do a collaboration, like, for example, the one that I'm supposed to do with Missing Identity, whatever track that's called would be SeamlessR and Missing Identity. So I could do this. And then track. Okay. Let's call track to keep it in the same. Derp. There you go. Okay. Name. This indicates collaborative efforts. And then if you have more artists, then you just put commas in between them and you put the and there and then whatever. You could do and, you could do plus, you could do and, like that's you have a lot of options there. Now, remixes. There used to be a fair amount of wiggle room in this regard in terms of what to call the remix. But the standard way of doing it, like if, for example, you wanted to do your remix of my track Sometime in FL Studio, it would look something like this. Well, beat. Or using, I guess, the brackets. The brackets are popular. This is assuming that the, actually, I guess this would be a dude remix. Because like, if I remixed it, it would be SeamlessR remix, that kind of thing. Back in the day, it used to not just be a SeamlessR remix kind of thing. It used to just it'd be like powerful remix or like epic dog remix, whatever. And I actually haven't mentioned the artist's name, which I have to imagine is why people tend to do this now. Let's have the actual artist name in there, because it's indicating who actually did the remix. Now, this particular relationship is something that I want to kind of draw attention to. Like, the first part is just good practice and you should do it, just be organized. And it's also good for your branding that you always have your name in the name of the track, because notice all of this has my name in it first, right? It's kind of important. But a lot of people, when FL11 came out and all those tracks that are in there were mine, so many people took them and decided to do remixes of them. And that's fine. Not even just with my own permission, but legally you have the right to do remixes, just as long as you're not selling them or making any kind of money off them. This includes monetization, by the way. But what they'll end up doing is that they'll name it like this. They'll name it as if it were a collaboration. and it is not a collaboration. That is absolutely not what's happening. And not only that, but they'll they'll call it a collaboration, and then they'll call the track something else. Like they'll actually name it not the original name of the track, which is not what you do for a remix. You call it the original name of the track. And remixing is this. This is how you do remixes. This is how you name them. And a lot of people who are starting out are not familiar with this sort of nomenclature. Might think that this is like, well, my name is not prominently featured. Well, neither is your production ability because it's a remix. Like, at least most of the ones that I've seen. But even if it was, like, this is still how you do it. This is still a very important point. Now, the other thing that I wanted to mention is the concept of Id3 tags, or metadata. Metadata. It's a fun word to say. Let me bring up a recent one. So here's an example of what not to do. Properties. Here's my track 110.11.19. Now, these are all examples of like what I would name finished tracks, and everyone else should be naming finished tracks as well. But even if it's a whip, you should still be naming things. And the primary reason why I don't is just because generally I don't have a name for things. But I can still call this SeamlessR 110.11.19. In fact, I did when I put it up on YouTube. But let's talk about metadata. So in here is sort of an area that says details. This is something that's unique to MP3s, or at least was unique to MP3s. This is something I might be full of shit. Never mind. But anyway, point being, we can fill in all this stuff. We can say, okay, cool, let's write the name in. So 110.11.19. And then subtitle, nothing, no comments, whatever. Contributing artists, I guess it's me. So, SeamlessR, album artist, if this album art, what album's part of, what year, what number, track number, genre, blues, I like it, I'll keep it. Publisher, notice the encoder is already filled out by the DAW when you do that. Author URL, which is pretty nice, copyright. Some of these things are not actually able to be filled out, and that's just by the nature of how Windows does security. Notice you can fill in key, by the way, and BPM. Key and BPM right there. That's very handy stuff. And yeah, so filling these out is pretty important. But notice that I can't really fill out all of them. There are actually programs out there that allow you to fill out, to edit ID3 information inside MP3s. This is referred to as ID3 tagging or metadata, like I mentioned earlier. And I recommend looking into this. Also for the same reasons as naming stuff properly. It's also about, having the unified branding image and that kind of thing. Like also, for example, for the purpose of giving it to me to have in the live mix, I have all the information I need. I know who did it. I know where it was rendered. I know the genre, the key, the BPM, without having to be in the title, and without me having to ask you what it is, or without having me have to put it in a DAW to figure it out. Like that's all very important things to be doing. Now, as much as this is useful for people like me who are taking the tracks and labels and whatever, if you're sending them a demo and that kind of thing, this is also super helpful, like I mentioned, for your idea, for your entire brand and image and that entire thing. Having your name everywhere for all that you're doing. And this is kind of a non sequitur. It's a little sequitur. It's a semi sequitur where like, for example, on literally every service I have that I use as an artist, my name is either Seamless or SeamlessR. Every single one. And if it's not, people get confused. So, like, when I'm on Twitch, and, like, I understand that Twitch wasn't exactly a music platform until very recently, so you got kind of a pass on this. But, like, if I'm on Twitch and people are, commenting, and then they say, like, oh, I submitted a track, and I go on the track, and I do not see their name anywhere. I don't see anyone even similar to their name. And it turns out they have a completely different name that actually is their artist name. Or they might be using, like, their account name on Demo Drop as their real name and not their artist name and that kind of thing. Like, if you're going to use something for public or even private at the level of, like, me or a label view of your material, or your musicality, or anything to do with your music, it needs to have your name on it, your artist name on it, so that everyone knows where it is. And also so when they Google you, they can find it. Like, not necessarily in the case of Demo Drop, but, like, your SoundCloud, your Facebook, your YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, all that kind of stuff. Like, you need to have a unified internet presence. Because if you go right now and you Google SeamlessR, you only find me. And you find a whole bunch of stuff that's me, and it's all very relevant. It's all very straightforward and easy, and there's not a huge amount of like sleuthing you need to do to find people's names. Now, some people might be thinking, well, this is not necessary for them because they don't have a career as big as mine. Mine's not all that big, but I understand what you're saying. And like, I still did this even before I had a career, even before I knew I was going to have a career. This is something I still did because it's me. I'm not having multiple identities of musical presences. That's not what I'm doing. So this is all like me and my name and that kind of thing. And also, like, what if suddenly you do have a career? What if you give me a track, I put it in a mix, and for some reason that's like, you know, the thing that jumpstarts your career because some guy on a label heard it and wanted to go for it. But then you have no presence. Like, you don't have a Facebook page that's set up properly. You don't have a name on things. And then you go try and get names and it's not there anymore because it was already taken. And like, steps you could have taken to resolve that by either changing your name or getting them to change their name, like, you can't do now because your thing is coming out the next day and you don't have anything ready. You don't have a unified artist presence on the internet, on social media, which you need. And logos and stuff are a whole another thing. It's not really something that I'm good at, but that's what artists are for, and you should be friends with some. Yeah. So recap: regular track, that's an original. You say name and the title. Some people put, like, you know, original, that kind of thing, like, in the name, and you can do that, but really only do that if you have something that's also not the original mix. Like if you have a VIP, or if you have a DJ edit or a radio edit or something like that. If you don't have any of that, then there's not really a point in putting an original mix in there. Featuring, as in having a vocalist on there, or like a guest guitar soloist, or a guest like producer, like, just kind of like, yeah, do a little thing on it, that kind of thing. That's kind of like a collaboration, but it's not really like a collaboration. Like, a collaboration is when both parties have sort of an equal stake in changing the track, and a featuring is when the track's basically already done and you're just adding in one little moment. Like, if I was to suddenly be on like a BT track, and really all that I did was I made one really badass bass drop, and everything else was something that he did. I had no say what he was doing. Then that would be a featuring. I would have been featured on BT's track. Collaborative efforts are when you're both having a primary decision in the creation of the track. That, like, you are talking about it, you're having a back and forth. It's a lot harder and it's a lot less simple than just a regular featuring. That kind of thing. Either of these configurations are fine. I personally prefer this one, but I've seen both. I've probably even done both myself, so whatever. And then remixes. Remixes, you put your name at the end. You put them in the brackets, you say your name remix. Because that is to say that this is the A Dude remix of Sometime by SeamlessR featuring Vila. Like, that's what means. This is what you should do. Don't put your name anywhere else. That's not how that works. Yeah. And metadata and Id3 tags. Do that. Anyway, if you have any questions about any of this, let me know. And as usual, have a nice day.